All right, guys, listen up. In this video, I'm going to explain exactly how long it's going to take you to get jacked. And I'm even going to explain how you can use the same method that I used to decrease the amount of time it's going to take you to do so. So there's going to be a ton of information in this video, so you're going to want to stay tuned to the end. So most people that make these type of guides and these type of videos, they just tell you things that you can easily find on ChatGPT and Google. Or they tell you things that you've heard millions of times already, like, oh, calories in, calories out. So my job here isn't to regurgitate that information and bore you with things you've heard already, but to introduce you to a method that I used that's gotten me and plenty of other guys that I've helped get jacked. So all I ask is that you sit back, grab a pen and paper, take some notes, like the video, subscribe, and if you're unsure about something, you can always ask me in the comment section down below. And again, this is the same method that I used to get me from this to this. So why should you listen to me? So besides me working out consistently for almost 4 years now and being a certified personal trainer for several of those years, I've been that skinny, unconfident guy that struggled to build muscle and add on size. And I even wasted a whole year by trying to figure out what worked on my own. So on the left here is me after a year of lifting. I was just throwing shit at the wall trying to see what stuck. And, as you can see, I was still skinny fat. On the right is me after I implemented the method that I'm going to explain to you guys later in this video. So I've also been that guy that lost himself while in a relationship and used that as an excuse to eat bullshit and not lock in on the gym. Guys, on the bottom here, you can see I was big as hell. I was bloated. I had a big ass gut. This was the biggest I've ever been in my whole entire life. I let myself go in that relationship. I got way too comfortable. And then this is me a couple months later. Guys, as you can see, I got my V taper back. I got my abs back. I got more vascular again. I found myself again. So I've made both transformations. I've been that skinny guy that had to bulk up and get muscle. And then I also been that bigger guy that had to cut down and lose fat. So let's get into who this video is for. Guys, if you're looking to gain 30 to 50 pounds of lean muscle and maintain an aesthetic physique, this is for you. Because guys, it's one thing to gain all of that muscle and get shredded and ripped and get jacked, but it's another to actually maintain it for years to come. Guys, you want to be able to keep that muscle once you gain it. And if you're looking to gain back your confidence and build a body that demands respect, this is for you. Guys, no one's going to respect the dude that's fat as fuck or skinny as hell. You got to be jacked, bro. And if you're watching this video, you know that already. And if you're sick and tired of feeling like you're uncomfortable in your own clothes, this is especially for you. Guys, I talk about this all the time. Your clothes are going to look way better when you're jacked and in shape. Now let's get into who this video is not for. If you're expecting an overnight transformation, brother, I can tell you right now that is not going to happen, and this video is not for you. This shit does not happen overnight. You didn't get out of shape overnight. You didn't get fat overnight. You didn't get skinny overnight. So what makes you think you're going to get jacked and change your whole body overnight? If you're unsatisfied with becoming, or if you're satisfied with becoming fat and coping by saying you're bulking while barely making gains, this is not for you. Guys, a lot of guys say, oh, I'm bulking, and they're like fucking 30% body fat. How is that a bulk? We don't do dirty bulks over here. And if you're fine with following societal norms and letting them destroy your health and physical potential, this is definitely not for you. Guys, I'm going to talk about how society can affect your physique and pretty much destroy your gains. You're going to learn a lot about that later in this video. And lastly, if you want to remain invisible to women, this definitely is not for you. Because again, women are not going to respect a dude who's fat as fuck or skinny as hell. It just doesn't happen. Now, here's the truth. You can't build a significant amount of muscle in 90 days or less. So anybody telling you to follow their 90-day transformation plan is full of shit and they're just trying to sell you on something. Don't believe that. You can't build a crazy, insane physique in 90 days or less, bro. But you can pack on muscle at a faster rate than most by using this system. So the exact time frame that you're gonna get jacked, it all depends on the following. So it depends on your prior and current lifting experience. Guys, when I showed you a couple slides earlier of when I was big and had a big ass gut, and then I transformed from that to a ripped and lean physique, that only took a couple of months because, guys, I was lifting for 3 years prior to that. So I already had a lot of the information I'm going to tell you guys. I knew how to lift, I knew how to eat. I just got out of shape and was lazy. So that's definitely going to be a good determining factor in how fast you get jacked. Now, your diet and daily habits. Now, you cannot expect to get jacked eating bullshit. And I'm going to go over what that and bullshit entails later in this video. And your daily habits, guys. If you're not moving your body daily, if you're not fucking going to the gym, you know you're not going to get jacked. And all of this is all going to come down to your determination and how bad you really want it. You can't be a bitch on this journey. It's not going to be easy. And if you're looking for an easy way out, you can click off this video. If you're not holding yourself accountable, or you don't have anybody else to hold you accountable, it's going to be extremely hard, and the chances of you falling off are going to be really high. But don't worry, I'm not going to let that happen to you. So over the years, I built an entire protocol based on my past experiences, what I've learned throughout the process, and what I know is going to get you jacked. It's going to get you that jacked aesthetic physique. So I call this protocol the aesthetic ascension protocol. So first things first, we have to optimize our testosterone. That is the first thing you have to even worry about before you even get in the gym, and before you even start going on all these crazy ass diets and everything like that. You have to optimize your testosterone. With a low testosterone level, that's going to put a limit on the amount of muscle you'll be able to build. And that's also going to be the reason why you have a crazy amount of body fat. So optimizing your testosterone through your food, cosmetic products, yes, that matters, and in your environment. These are all going to be things that you want to pay attention to if you want to have high testosterone. Now that you've done that, now we got to get into the hybrid foundational training. You have to incorporate compound lifts. You have to incorporate bodybuilding, and you also have to add in calisthenics, guys. If you want to be an ultimate man, you want to have that ultimate physique, and if you want to do that, you have to incorporate all these three foundations. You want to do the calisthenics because you want to be flexible. You want to add on that lean muscle. Guys, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be walking around here like a thumb that can barely move. If I want to start practicing boxing, BJJ, jujitsu, whatever, I want to be able to do that and still be flexible. I want to be able to move around. So you want to practice calisthenics. Bodybuilding, of course, if you want to get jacked, you have to train like a bodybuilder. And that doesn't mean you train exactly like Larry Wills or Ronnie Coleman. No, that's not what I mean by that. I'm going to explain a lot about that later on in this video. And if you want to, and you have to power lift as well. You have to do your compound lifts because you don't have to lift like a power lifter that competes, but you have to train your compound lifts so you can get strong. The stronger you are, the more muscle you're going to be able to build. So you have to incorporate powerlifting as well. And then once you incorporate these two things, you're going to be able to maintain this aesthetic physique eternally, forever. This is where you're going to be able to maintain 10 to 12% body fat year round while still being productive. And while still being productive and being able to enjoy your life. Because a lot of guys, they'll complain and say, oh, I can't go to the gym 5-6 days a week and meal prep and eat optimally while being productive at work and maintain a dating life. Guys, making sure you have high testosterone is going to make sure you're productive at work. It's going to make you jacked and handsome, which would improve your dating life. So if you're saying that you can't balance all of these things, you're just thinking about it in the wrong way. In case you don't know me, here's a brief backstory about how I got here. So, guys, I started out like most guys in the gym. This is when I first started. I had no direction on where to start, no proof of concept to keep me going, and I always looked for the easy way out. Guys, I can tell you one thing, and this is on both sides of the spectrum. This is if you're skinny, this is if you're fat. When you're at a deficit, you're just looking for the easiest way out of this. And what do I mean by this? When you're out of shape and you want to get jacked, you're going to look for the fastest way to get jacked. You're going to look for the fastest way to get from point A to point B. So you look for the BS supplements like, BCAAs or, EAAs or, Oxy Shred. You start looking for the fucking protein chips and the fucking protein cookies. You look for the prepackaged meals like the frozen meals and all that BS. No, bro. You have to start from ground zero. You have to realize where you're at. then build up on top of that. But in the beginning, you have to start from ground zero. You have to start from the basics. You have to do these things. You cannot overlook these things and pass them off like they're not important. They're very important. So after burning a whole entire year trying to find the best and easiest method to build muscle, I finally cracked the code. Now, long story short, I started to look like this guy after I cracked the code, right? But then I had a huge bump in the road and fell into a dark place. So, long story short, guys, 2023 was the darkest year of my life, guys. Pretty much to start it off, I was benching and I tore a ligament in my wrist. I wasn't stretching properly before my workouts. I wasn't lifting optimally, and I wasn't prioritizing my joints and everything like that before my workout. So, I tore a ligament in my wrist, and that kept me out of the gym for a whole entire 4 months. I literally had to call out of work the next day because I literally could not touch anything. Everything hurt to the touch. So I was out of the gym for 4 months. Then my best friend of 15 years passed away, right? He passed away, and that was when I heard that news. That was only a couple of months after I injured my wrist. So I'm still out of the gym and I'm hearing this information. So you got to imagine the kind of state I was in, right? So while I was out of the gym, I heard that news. I was depressed, and I don't say that often. So after that, I got everything back. I found myself again. I got every single thing back. I got all my gains back, right? Very fast. And within like 2 weeks, or my bad, 2 months. Now, obviously, some of that was muscle memory, and the other half of that I attribute to the method I'm going to explain. But I lost all that, then I got it back. Then I got into a relationship. I got comfortable. Then I lost it all again. So I'm going to explain how I got all of that back. So in the following steps, I'm going to outline the entire process from A to Z of what I did to accomplish these results as fast as possible, so you too can use my aesthetic ascension system to finally get jacked and add on 30 to 50 pounds of lean muscle. So first things first, you have to drop your ego and identify where you're at. And why is this so important, and why must you do it? So you have to know exactly where you're starting at, guys. Let's just say we're in the middle of nowhere and you have to go north to get to your destination, but you don't know exactly where you're at. You're going to try each and every single way to get north, and it's going to take you forever to get to your destination, right? So if you were to know exactly where you're at, you would know that just going north is a straight path ahead, and you would get to your destination much faster. Now, it's another thing to now another thing is most guys think their physiques are just fine. Most guys get a little definition and think they're jacked. Some guys are fine with being skinny, some guys are fine with being fat. Bro, if you realize where you're at, that's gonna ignite that flame underneath your ass to stay determined and apply more effort. So it's all about determination and applying that effort. That's what's gonna get you to your dream physique. And a big reason why people get discouraged and give up is because they try so hard for 6 months to a year, but they're doing everything all wrong. So they just give up. But if you have the right system in place and you're gradually making progress, it's going to be hard to give up. We all know that one saying that says, you're not tired when you're winning, right? So you have to get that first win to actually start seeing that proof of concept and to keep going. Now, everybody falls into either one of these physique archetypes. Now, the first one we have here is unfortunately the most common archetype, fat and morbidly obese. Now, you have to understand where you're at, and you have to understand which one you are. So if you're over 25% body fat, bro, you're fat and obese. Like, that's just what it is. You have to realize that. Now, here's where it gets tricky. If you're if you're morbidly obese, you may not be able to even measure your body fat. This is a real story. So when I used to train at a commercial gym, you would have to weigh the clients for their first session. So there was a scale that we would use that would measure your body fat percentage. And if you were over a certain weight or a certain body fat percentage, you would not get your results back. It would say error on the screen and it could literally not read your results. So if you're morbidly obese, you can't even measure your body fat, bro. I'm sorry to say that, but you can't. Now, a BMI over 40 is morbidly obese, right? So a BMI is pretty much your height divided by your weight, and they put that into a score. So if that score is over 40, bro, you're morbidly obese. Now, let's get into the first body type. So, on the right here is my client Ed, right? And on the left is him in the beginning of the year. And on the right is him now. So, I've been working with Ed for 4 months now. And as you can see on the left, he's obviously fat. He's got a huge gut and he has tits. And on the right, he has a V taper. He lost the tits and the gut, and he kept a lot of that muscle. So with working with me, he's dropped a total of 40 pounds in 16 weeks. And the good thing about his transformation is he dropped 20 of those pounds in his first month. Now, most people say it's not healthy to drop that much weight in a month, but that's completely false. Guys, when your diet isn't optimized, you don't know what you're doing in the gym, and you have no game plan, you're holding on to a lot of water weight and stubborn fat. That's mostly what he lost in that first month. So yeah, it's possible to lose that much weight in your first month. And obviously, I'm not done working with Ed. His progress is literally just getting started. And a couple more months, if he continues to follow protocol, he's gonna have a six pack and some more muscle. So if you're fat, you need to act fast before you enter the point of no return. And what is the point of no return? So if you're fat and you get, bigger, something happens in life, you get in a relationship and you get even bigger, you're gonna creep into that morbidly obese section, right? And once you're morbidly obese, guys, even if you lose a ton of weight, you lose 100 pounds, you do that all that shit naturally, you're gonna still have a bunch of that loose skin. You're gonna have the stretch marks, and your body's gonna look terrible. And the only way that you can get rid of that is through surgery. And number one, a lot of people don't have the money for that. And number two, a lot of people don't even want to go that route. So that's why I call it the point of no return, because once you get there, the weight that you're going to lose is going to look really bad once you lose it all, right? And if you're fat, this transformation to get jacked can take anywhere from 12 months or 12 to 18 months in total, right? So you guys got to start thinking a lot more long term. And you want to be eating 2 meals a day for the first 3 months. 2 meals a day. And when it comes to cheat meals, you have to earn your cheat meals. When I started working with Ed, his first month, he was not eating cheat meals each and every single week. He had to earn his cheat meals. Best and believe after he lost that 20 pounds, he earned a cheat meal. Now, you want to also do the hybrid training that I talked about earlier, but you want to focus more so on the compound lifts because you're heavier. You're not going to be that heavy again once you make your transformation. So you want to be able to hit all of your PRs, all of your, high lifts on your compound lifts so that once you cut a lot of that body fat, you're still gonna be able to lift heavy and still be able to add on a lot more muscle. And for calisthenics, obviously, if you're fat, you're not gonna be able to do all these damn muscle ups and all these flips on the bar. So you really just want to learn the basics if you're fat and when you're starting out, right? You just want to learn the basics like push-ups, uh, pull-ups, dips, chin-ups, just the basic shit. And at this stage, I'm not gonna lie, brother, falling off will be easier, but you have to stay focused. There were so many times in Ed's journey where he wanted to quit, he wanted to fall off, he wanted to give into his vices, he wanted to give into his current emotions at that state. But I had to reassure him that, bro, if you keep doing this, you're gonna end up in the point of no return. You're gonna end up morbidly obese, and you definitely don't want that. And his environment played a big part in that too. He had a Caribbean background, so obviously his peoples cook foods that are high in fat, foods that are high in carbs, and at his job, it's a bunch of fat people at his job. When they're doing potlucks and they have parties and shit like that, they were telling him to eat the food. So if that's you, brother, you have to say no to all that shit. You can't be listening to people that tell you, oh, you can have a burger, it's not gonna hurt you. All those people are fat and you don't want to look like that. You want to start listening to people that you want to look like. So yeah, man, falling off in this stage will be a lot easier, but you just have to hold yourself accountable or get somebody or get in a group that will hold you accountable. Now, morbidly obese. I'm gonna be honest, brother. If you're morbidly obese, you really have to be in this for the long run, especially. But you also have to be doing this for your health because at the end of the day, if you're morbidly obese, you have a bunch of visceral fat. And what that is pretty much just fat around your organs. And when you have a bunch of fat around your heart, your lungs, and everything like that, all of your vital organs, that predisposes you to a lot of diseases. This is why a lot of people get, high blood pressure, coronary heart diseases, heart disease, and all this other bullshit. Is because you have so much excess fat around your vital organs. So if you're morbidly obese, your main goal should be to get to a healthy BMI and body fat percentage. And this can take anywhere from 16 to 24 months. So again, like I said earlier, this shit didn't take you overnight to get fucking 300, 400 pounds. So you have to be on your P's and Q's and you have to be thinking about this shit for the long term, right? It's a marathon, not a race. Now, one thing that helps morbidly obese people drop a lot of weight pretty fast is this fasting method, this 16-8 fasting method. And what this is from 12 to 8, you have an 8-hour eating window, right? You're able to eat between 12 to 8. Now, anytime after that, you should be fasting. You shouldn't even look at food in that time. So when you're eating, from 12 to 8, typically people work out around like 12-1, right? You want to eat your first meal around that time. So then you're carved up, you're going to have a lot more energy for your workout and you're going to burn a lot of that glycogen through your workout. And that's going to give you energy to build more muscle in your workout and drop a lot of that fat. So you want to eat before your workout. And then you want to eat around around like 5 to 6 or 7, right? Maybe even 8, but 8's pushing it. That's the last hour you should be eating. And then after that, you're fasting, right? So that 16 to 8 fasting method is pretty effective if you're if you're morbidly obese. Now, and again, you have to shift your mindset to think more long term. So yeah, guys, if you're morbidly obese, I mean, you're just gonna have to stick through the hard battles, and you're gonna have to thug it out. Now, skinny/skinny fat. Let's get into this one. So skinny, hard gainer slash skinny fat. Which one are you? If you're 10 to 17% body fat, you're a hard gainer and you need to lean bulk, right? You need to be lean bulking. Um, if you're 18 to 20% though, but you're still slender and you have no real muscle, you need to cut first, then like main gain. And I'm gonna get into that. So on the right here is my client Jordan, and he has a weird body type. He wanted to add on size and muscle. So him cutting first at like when he started, he was like 141. So him cutting first really wouldn't make sense. He'd be in the 130s, and he didn't really have that much muscle. So what we did was we did a lean bulk to a reasonable size, right? And now we're gonna do a body recomp to decrease the body fat and add on a lot more muscle mass. And that's kind of the same thing that I did. As you can see down here, right? I started out, skinny to skinny fat, and then I added on a lot more size and muscle, and then I did a body recomp, and then I got cut. So that's a realistic, skinny to skinny fat transformation in a couple of months. So dropping the body fat down to 10 to 50%, then lean bulking can take anywhere from 12 to 16 months minimum. Minimum. Now, hybrid training, you want to focus more so on the calisthenics and especially that steady state cardio to burn a lot of that body fat, not the muscle. So calisthenics, especially because again, this is probably going to be the lowest you're going to weigh in your fitness journey once you become jacked. So again, guys, like down here, I was 150, but I had a lot of fat. Even though I had a lot of fat, I was still at my lowest weight. And you want to be able to do calisthenics because again, this is where you're going to be more nimble. This is where you're going to be able to do the muscle ups. You're going to be able to do the crazy pull-ups and the chin-ups and all the crazy shit that you see these guys do at the calisthenics park, right? So you're going to be able to do that. And then once you get to the heavier weights, you want to start adding weight on top of that, right? So you want to start doing weighted calisthenics. So yeah, you have to take advantage of calisthenics when you're skinny. And then you want to eat 3 meals a day max. You have to earn your cheat meals because again, guys, At this stage, you're still skinny fat. You have a lot of body fat. And then you want to manipulate your carbs. What does this mean? So on days that you're resting, your rest days, you don't really need to eat that much carbs because those days are strictly for rest and recovery, right? So you're not going to be working out. You're not going to need the energy and the glycogen to work out. When you have a day when you actually do work out, that's where you're going to want to start adding a lot more carbs in, especially before your workout, to fuel your workout, to give you energy, to boost your glycogen, so that when you go in the gym, you're pumped up. You have a better pump, you're more vascular, and you're going to be burning a lot more fat than muscle if you manipulate your carbs that way. So yeah, man, if you're skinny to skinny fat, it's going to take a little bit longer than if you were a hard gainer, but I'm going to get into that in a second. So hard gainer, this is a realistic hard gainer transformation. So again, this was me when I was 150, but I was a lot skinnier here, and then I lean bulked to a jacked aesthetic physique. So a full lean bulk, if you're a hard gainer, can take anywhere from 8 to 12 months minimum, right? It's gonna be a little bit shorter than a skinny fat dude, but you still want to make sure that you're prioritizing your meals and everything like that. You need to make sure that you're still following protocol. Now, hybrid training. Here's especially where you want to focus on calisthenics, because again, you're gonna be able to do crazy moves. You're gonna be able to do the harder moves when you're skinny, right? You're gonna be able to do like pistol squats and shit like that when you're skinny. Now, as far as the diet, you want to be eating 3 to 4 whole food meals a day every day. Cheat meals once a week won't hurt, but they have to be moderated. Now, when I say whole foods, I don't mean the frozen foods. You do not want to go the easy route and go for the frozen foods you see in the fucking grocery store. No, bro. You don't want to go for that. You want to cook all of your meals, and you want to eat that shit 3 to 4 times a day. 3 to 4 whole food meals a day, every single day. If you skip a meal, that's going to put a huge dent in your progress. I remember when I was 150, soaking wet, if I missed a meal, I would literally lose 4 to 5 pounds the next day. I would wake up in the morning 4 to 5 pounds lighter. And I know that's a lot of you guys that are hard gainers. So you do not want to be skipping your meals, bro. That's going to be very important that you get all of your meals in if you're a hard gainer. Now, let's get into it. Common mistakes that fat guys make. Now, this is not just exclusively fat guys, this is also skinny guys. You guys think for some reason that you have to overexert yourself. You have to do the most to get a transformation. When in reality, you just have to stick to the basics. So running / hit workouts. Why are these so bad, and why is this a mistake for fat guys? A lot of guys, like I just said, they feel like they have to overexert themselves. When you're running and you're doing all these high intensity workouts, guys, you're just putting your body through an unnecessary amount of stress. That's going to raise your cortisol levels, which is then going to drop your testosterone, which is then going to make it a lot harder to burn fat and build muscle. So you do not need to be running and doing all these high intensity workouts. You do not need to be doing that shit, bro. And same thing with playing team sports on the weekend. Guys, I know you want to hoop with the boys on the weekend. I know you want to play football sometimes. But you have to understand that's the same thing as running and, all these hit workouts. It's high intensity. You do not need to be doing that. You need to be doing steady state, slow cardio and fasted workouts. Guys, when you do a fasted workout, that's going to limit the amount of energy you're going to have for your workout. And that's also going to make sure that you're burning through a lot more muscle than you are fat, right? So you have to load up on carbs before your workout to give you that energy. So you're burning more fat than muscle. Now, taking every new supplement on the market, oh my God. OxyShred has you motherfuckers in a chokehold. All this BCAA bullshit and OxyShred and all this other, glutamine and fat burning things, bro, that's not what's going to get you jacked. Again, like I said, you're trying to take the easy way out of this. There is no easy way, brother. You got to go stick to the basics. It's hard, but it's going to be rewarding. This is why not everybody can be jacked. You're feeding into society's norms. Oh, take this. This is gonna get you slim and trim, and this is gonna get you jacked. No, bro. That's just setting you back further. Now, water fast, same thing with the overexertion. You do not need to be doing water fast. Who told you need to do water fast, bro? You're just fucking up your metabolism, adding on more body fat. Same thing with crash dieting. You don't need to go to this certain extreme, because if you go cold turkey, once you start your fitness journey, once you start realizing you need to become jacked, you go cold turkey and you do a fucking crash diet, you're gonna crash yourself, right? You're gonna go right back to your old habits, and you're gonna go back into your old habits even worse. You're gonna start eating the bullshit again. You're gonna start eating the fast food because you took that away from yourself so fast and so urgently, right? So that's why crash dieting isn't effective. It's more so mental than it is physical, right? You're telling yourself, "Oh, I need to stop this shit cold turkey. I need to stop this shit ASAP." No, you need to ease your way into it. Now let's get into the skinny guys, what mistakes they make. Now, you skinny motherfuckers aren't safe either. I used to do all these things here. So eating anything in sight, brother, there's no way you think that eating this bullshit will get you jacked. There's no way you think that eating tortilla style protein chips, hot and spicy flavor, will get you jacked. Look, bro, serious mass, that is the biggest trap. That is the biggest thing holding you skinny guys back. This fucking serious mass. The only thing serious is gonna be the serious ass smell that you're gonna smell in the bathroom after you drink this shit, because your gut is gonna be so fucking inflamed and you're gonna have diarrhea for days after drinking this shit, bro. Look at the ingredients: maltodextrin, whey protein concentrate, natural and artificial flavor. Guys, you do not need to be consuming things that have ingredients that you can't even pronounce. Maltodextrin sounds like some shit that was made in the lab, and it actually is. It's a literal compound, right? Why are you putting that in your body? You need to be eating whole foods. So drinking mass gainer, eating protein chips and cookies, not tracking every single meal. Guys, I'm not saying you have to track your meals forever, but when you're first starting out and you're first, dieting and, making sure all your meals are optimized, you need to be tracking your meals, because again, there's going to be times where you're not gaining weight and you're asking yourself like, yo, why am I not gaining weight? It's because you don't know exactly how many calories you're getting in each and every single day. So you have to be tracking your meals. And then eating just chicken and rice. Now, there's nothing wrong with chicken and rice. However, red meats are going to be your best friend, because red meats are going to have more micronutrients. They're going to have more cholesterol, which is going to boost your testosterone, right? The good cholesterol, HDL. And a lot of you guys say, oh, cholesterol is bad. No, cholesterol is not bad if you're not a fucking fat ass. If you're watching what you're eating, then HDL is not bad for you, right? It's when you start eating HDL and LDL, all bad cholesterol, right? You eat good on the week, during the week, and then you go to fucking Chipotle and fucking McDonald's on the weekend. You're filling your body up with the bad cholesterol. That's when you start to get heart disease. That's when you start to, clog your arteries, when you're eating the bad cholesterol alongside the good cholesterol, right? And also not doing any cardio. If you're skinny fat, you especially need to be doing cardio. But if you're skinny, bro, you still need to be dropping body fat. There's still body fat to lose when you're skinny. So you still need to be doing your cardio. Now, let's get into testosterone optimization. So you need to be optimizing your testosterone, right? This is the first pillar that I was talking about earlier. So that's going to come at the expense of 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Guys, you need 6 to 8 hours of sleep. We all know this. That's a given. You cannot skip this process. Now, you need to be also eating a whole food diet. I'm going to get into that a little bit later. And you need to keep your cortisol low. This is just regular, everyday, things that stress you out. Blue light on your phone, a bad diet, running, playing team sports. All this shit is increasing your testosterone. You're increasing your cortisol, right? So you have to keep your cortisol low. Boost your HDL, right? Your HDL cholesterol, which I was talking about earlier. Limit endocrine disruptors. That's going to be in a slide coming up. And you have to lift heavy. This is why I was talking about the powerlifting. You have to incorporate powerlifting into your regimen, because you have to be lifting heavy in order to build more muscle. And then you also want to prevent overtraining by prioritizing your recovery. Guys, you should not be working out each and every single day. I don't know who told you need to work out 6 to 7 or 7 days a week every single day, right? You do not need to be working out every single day. Have at least one rest day. At least one rest day. And that comes with, getting good sleep, making sure you're stretching, making sure, you do things like going to the sauna, doing cryotherapy. These are all going to be things that are going to help you and prioritize your recovery. So you also have to ditch alcohol and processed foods. Guys, if you're still fucking drinking beer and fucking alcohol, 1942 and fucking, Hennessy and all this bullshit, you're plummeting your testosterone. You're destroying your testosterone alongside with the processed foods. Guys, I'm going to get into what all these processed foods contain, but if you're doing all these things, you're going to end up like this guy right here on the left. You're going to end up like this low test dude. You're going to end up with a mental brain fog. You're going to end up tired constantly each and every single day. You're going to end up depressed. You're going to be depressed. You're going to have a big ass gut. You're going to have low sex drive. You can't get hard sometimes. You know what I mean? When it's time to get down to business, it can't get up. And you're going to have a risk of osteoporosis. You're going to have this fucking bone disease. Now, if you optimize your testosterone, you're going to end up like this dude on the right. He has clear thinking. He's jacked. He has strong bones. And he has all the energy in the world. And his libido is high. So at the end of the day, you got to pick which side you're on. You got to pick which side you want to be on. You either want to be this low test dude who's depressed all the time, can't fucking get hard, or you want to be this jack dude who has a clear state of mind. He's always has high energy. He has high libido, and he's always on the go. Which guy do you want to be? Now, when it comes to a high test diet, it's going to look like this. You have to keep your meals centered around red meats, eggs, shellfish, berries, potatoes. Guys, you want to ditch the processed meats, and a lot of meats that we eat on a daily basis are actually processed, and I'm going to get into it. So, what is processed meats? Processed meats are meats that have been preserved by smoking, curing, adding salt and preservatives. So these are going to be things like bacon, salami, bologna, roasted turkey. Guys, all this shit has preservatives in it. All this shit is processed and it's fucking up your testosterone. It's fucking up, your gut. You want to start eating single ingredient red meats. These are going to be the things and the red meats that are in the white packages, the clear packages, right? I told all my guys in my program, you want to shop on the perimeter of the store. So you want to shop for the unprocessed meat from mammals, including beef, pork, lamb, and veal. Now, obviously, some red meats are going to be better than others, but you want to stick to the beef. You want to stick to the steak. You want to stick to all these lean cuts of meat. Now, you want to check ingredients for harmful chemicals and additives. Again, like I said, things that are going to lower your testosterone. You don't want to be eating processed foods and fried foods, guys. All that shit is a huge no. A protein anything is a huge absolute no, right? Like I got into earlier, the fucking protein chips, the fucking protein cookies. GMO and processed foods are a huge no. Guys, there's an app called Yuka that you can use to scan whatever you're buying, and it's going to tell you exactly what's inside of it. It's going to tell you all the bad shit to stay away from. And it's going to put all that food and cosmetic items even in a score, and it's going to tell you what you should be eating instead. Now, butter is fine because, again, it has good cholesterol. And you can even add that in your coffee instead of fucking creamer, right? So butter is fine. You can add butter. Now, olive oil is better for drizzling on top of your food rather than cooking with it, because when you cook with it, it becomes carcinogenic and it introduces a bunch of harmful compounds. So you don't want to be cooking with olive oil. You just want to drizzle that over your food. Now, endocrine disruptors. This is what I was talking about earlier. So endocrine disruptors are in a lot of the things that we consume on a daily basis. And all this shit here is just the tip of the iceberg. But I'm just going to go through some of these things. So, BPAs. BPAs are in the fucking Tupperware that you're putting your meal prepping, right? When you meal prep and you're putting your food in that fucking plastic container, that has harmful chemicals like BPAs. And when you warm it up in the microwave, all your food is now contaminated with that chemical toxin and all that shit that was in the plastic that was holding your food. So yeah, bro, you want to switch to glass products to hold your meal prepping. And now PFAs, that's in the fucking tap water that you bathe with on a daily basis, right? You want to make sure that your water is fine. Phytoestrogens. You know, a lot of vegetables contain phytoestrogens. You want to make sure that whatever vegetables you're eating doesn't contain that much phytoestrogens, right? So those are going to be things like string beans and green beans and shit like that. Pesticides, again, you want to make sure whatever food you're eating does not contain pesticides. Phthalates, a lot of cosmetic items like your lotion, your soap, all that shit has phthalates in it. You want to make sure whatever you're using has natural ingredients. Flame retardants, processed foods, a lot of that shit has flame retardants in it. And dioxin is just regular environmental shit like pollution that we come across on a daily basis. Now, the effects of endocrine disrupting chemicals on men, DNA damage, bro, that's gonna fuck up your cells, right? That's gonna cause cell damage and it's gonna, increase cancer, testicular damage and cancer. Guys, you're gonna get testicular cancer if you keep indulging in all this processed shit. Infertility, you may not even be able to have a family indulging in this bullshit, bro. Reduction in sperm count and quality, again, same thing. Reduction or damage to reproductive health, same thing. Reproductive tract anomalies. So yeah, bro, all this shit matters. This is why I'm stressing this to you because yes, you want to be jacked and build muscle, but you also have to make sure that your health is optimized as well. And if none of this shit is in order, none of these things are in line, of course you're not going to get jacked, but you're also going to be predisposed to all of these harmful diseases. Now, the main thing that we're talking about here is disruption to testosterone levels. See, again, look, it's plummeting and tanking your testosterone. Now, hybrid training. Guys, the reason why I stress hybrid training so much is because hybrid training, the system that I've built, is the exact reason why I'm able to bench nearly 400 pounds. I'm able to dip my body weight and then some, right? I'm able to do that for reps. And I'm also able to look shredded year round by training like a bodybuilder as well, right? So, this is why I stress hybrid training. You want to be the ultimate man. You want to be able to train like a power lifter. You want to be able to train like a bodybuilder. And you want to also be able to do muscle ups and all these crazy calisthenics moves like these calisthenics dudes, right? So you want to be able to do all three pillars of hybrid training. Now, steady state cardio is going to be king, right? This is going to be your incline walks. This is going to be your walk in the parks. Guys, if you're fat especially, start putting yourself in environments and situations where you have to walk more. So if you're going to the gym, park in the back of the gym, park all the way in the back, park far away so that you get more steps in. You want to get at least 10 to 12,000 steps daily. And then once you start dropping more body fat and you're getting closer to a plateau, then you want to up that number to like 15 to 20,000, right? But you want to put yourself in places where you have to walk more, right? So if there's a place or a building where there's an elevator, you want to take the stairs, things like that, things that are going to make you walk more and get your body moving. So you also want to be training 5 to 6 days a week, guys. There's no way in hell you can get jacked training 3 to 4 days a week, bro. It's not going to happen. You have to train 5 to 6 days a week, 5 to 6 hours a week. That's all it is, bro. 6 to 7 exercises per workout, guys. When I'm in the gym, I'm not in the gym for 2 to 3 hours a fucking day, bro. I'm in the gym for an hour, hour and a half max. Progressive overload every 2 weeks. Guys, even if you have to progressively overload on a lift by 2.5 pounds, you can do that. That is perfectly fine. But you want to make sure that you're increasing the weight each and every single, or not each and every single week, but every 2 weeks. So, guys, now that you understand exactly how this process works, I have an offer for you. So, if you're tired of not having the physique you actually desire, you're feeling unmotivated and you're lacking accountability and you're struggling to figure out what works, I'll literally hold your hand throughout this whole entire process, guide you through exactly what it is you need to do to finally get the physique you've been wishing to achieve and tap into your full potential. Guys, if you do exactly what I tell you to do, I'm not going to say if, I'm going to guarantee you that you'll get jacked, right? So if that sounds like you and you're ready to take the next step, the link is in the description. Book a call and I'll get you to that next level. And again, guys, this is only for the guys who are ready to step into their full potential. This is only for the guys who are ready to transform into the best possible version of themselves and the guys that are ready to make life-changing progress both physically and mentally. Guys, I can tell you one thing. When all of my brothers joined Everyday Elite and started working with me one-on-one, none of their process was easy. None of their time in my program was easy, but they gained so much mentally and both physically to the point where they're totally different people now, right? Now, as you can see, and as you saw earlier, their physiques changed in only 3 to 4 months. But that's not even the biggest thing. It's the amount of confidence they gained from that. It's the amount of confidence they gained from being able to actually, see a glimpse of their full potential, seeing themselves actually in good shape for the first time in their lives, right? That gave them so much more confidence. So, guys, if that sounds like you, like I said earlier, the link is in the description. Book a call, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in our one-on-one. And that was the end of the video, guys. If you enjoyed and you actually got information out of this, comment down below, like the video, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. I'm out.